Like a school teacher.
Mhm.
I think it's like the early 20th century woman.
Okay. How old are you now?
Mm, maybe 40s or 50s.
Okay. School teacher in the 20s. Okay. What are you teaching? What subject? Do you know?
All subjects. It's like young children.
Do you like being a teacher?
I do. Mhm.
Uh-huh. Right. This is something that gives you joy. Mhm. And what do you see in the classrooms? Any details? How are you dressed?
It's like
High collar?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
long skirt and my hair's in like a bun. I'm like walking
Uh-huh.
aisles of
Styles? Uh-huh.
desks.
Okay. Okay. So it's obviously it's a different era. You dressed very differently. It's very conservative in comparison to today. And how is the class? Is the class paying attention?
Yeah, they're like scared of me.
They're scared. Okay. Okay. So you embody that sort of rigidness, right, when it comes to discipline,
Mm.
rather. Huh? Okay. So they listen to you. Is this your style of teaching? Okay. Okay. Very good. Anything else we need to know about the scene? Anything important about the scene? Are they doing some sort of exercise?
Yeah, they're writing something. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I instructed them to write something, and I'm policing, just walking back and forth.
Okay. So as you're policing, connect to this woman a little bit deeper. Maybe she has a name, but we just want to connect to her emotions. And she's policing, so she's watching everyone, right? And like if somebody doesn't follow her instructions, probably she gets really upset, right?
It's no, it's like it's from love. It's like there's a very deep love
That she cares and loves the
for
kids.
these kids. Yeah,
Okay, okay. And this is the way she expresses it.
exactly.
Uh-huh. And okay. And if somebody doesn't behave, what is her form of reaction? And how does she address a difficult situation in the classroom?
Disciplinary. Yeah. Um,
In what form?
well, she speaks with them like one on one afterward, but just very. It gets cut off immediately if they're
Okay. So there is no physical
no.
discipline, but it's just immediate ending to whatever the child is doing. Okay, very good. So we already know that she's passionate. She wants them to succeed, and it comes from a place of love. Okay. So she believes in education, doesn't she? Okay. Living in those times when you connect with her, women obviously didn't have a lot of rights.
I can feel that. Yeah, she's really angry about that.
She's really angry. Okay. So let's see what else is going on in her life. Let's close that scene and we can reappear in another scene where there's something important happening in her life, something that has, some value or it alters her life or her reality. And be there now and tell me what comes forward.
I can just feel like the
Yeah.
struggle, and I can
Yes.
feel her heart and how it feels.
Tell me how it feels.
Just rapid beating, like
Okay.
intensity, and like this like righteous anger, and like just feeling like these people are barbaric and wishing that people were more evolved.
So when you say these people are barbaric,
it's like it's men. It's either men or townspeople. I feel like there was a physical struggle she was involved in at one point, maybe like a rape, but I also feel like there was political like stuff with the townspeople trying to tell her what to teach the children, and she disagreed.
So she lives in a small town, and she's probably one of the very few teachers that actually work at school, right?
Yes.
And they're against her in some ways.
Yes.
Because she's more progressive.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back in time a little bit and find out what gave her this anger. Let's travel back a little bit, allow yourself to feel, and you will find appropriate place, time, or scene, or more emotions that will give us a little bit more information. Is it hard for her to connect with that?
Yeah, I'm just getting very fast, like, glimpses of stuff. I don't,
That's okay. Allow yourself to travel. It's almost like taking a tunnel, right? It's moving rapidly. And then eventually allow yourself to stop.
She's in like a fancy hotel. She's a young girl. Wearing all white, and like, she just feels like pissed, like, but like amused at like how ignorant she feels people are. It's like some sort of party or something. She's from like wealth.
So from what you're saying, she feels like she doesn't belong. They are people who are supposed to be cultured, right? Who are supposed to be evolved. They have access to money, but the way they behave, the way they act, seems like she's disgusted by it, right? So you said that she comes more likely from wealth. I wonder, why does she feel so entitled to think that she knows better than everybody else? Where does this dichotomy started? Let's delve deeper a little bit into that anger, into these emotions. Allow these emotions to like pull you into more information in whichever forms it wants to come forward. Because from what you were saying, she also is a little bit arrogant to me. She feels very self-righteous in her action and her behavior, like, almost like I'm going to be one against all of you. Right? And that, if you don't have allies, if you don't have friends, like, you can't really win any battle. Anger never really resolves anything in a positive way, as long as it is sort of self-perpetuating. If it motivates towards positive action, like being a teacher, that's a good way of using anger, right? So allow yourself to sink in a little bit deeper into this energy and allow it to catapult you into more data, more information, either from her life or just a bigger context that we can describe, we can learn from. And when you feel that anger, where do you feel it in the body mostly, or in the mind? Where is it located?
It's like the solar plexus and like the rib cage and the heart.
Let's work on clearing that. I'm really interested also in knowing where is your power center when you scan your body. Okay, so we know this is inflamed, but scan your entire body and see where is your connection to the source. Where do you feel actually whole, outside of that anger that you felt in solar plexus and the heart?
I mean, it's the same place.
The same place. Okay. How about
it's
your
like
sacrum?
It's like a funnel. It's like,
how does your sacrum feel?
Just like weighted down, earthly. It doesn't feel like it connects me to anything.
So there's no strength in the sacrum. Let's scan the entire body and find out what is the strongest part. Where is the life force flowing? Where is the most life force? Where does it dominate?
It's the throat and the solar plexus, and I have everything in between.
Okay.
Like this like egg.
So I would like to use the energy of the throat and help diminish this inflammation in the solar plexus and in the heart. Can you send some of the energy from the throat?
Yeah.
Yes, very good. Just to get these energies moving, and also, if it's possible, can we isolate the energy from the solar plexus and from the heart and shift it to the mind? Can you move it upwards to the mind so that we can have a conversation with this energy form?
Just feeling like a block here, kind of like it's resistant. Yeah.
So we can understand better this woman. We can understand where she comes from. Why is she so angry? Why is she like amused and rebellious? So it's almost like you're scooping this energy into the basket, right? And then we're sending it upwards for the strong channel in the throat, into your mind, into your nervous system, into your brain.
Okay.
Can you share anything?
So I have the information, but it's not like I can't like channel her or anything like that.
That's
But it's
okay.
like she's like an adolescent girl at this party, and it was like waking up to these ways of like her father and these other men that were celebrating, and she realized that they were hiring prostitutes, and she was just
Disappointed.
felt betrayed and felt that her mother was being betrayed, and just felt, you know, this subjugation of women and men and these roles that we have to play. It just sparked something that sort of never went away.
Okay. And before that, what's the energy? Was she really fond of her father? Was she full of respect and love, and just this respect got broken? Or she had this idealized version of people in the society? How does it come to you?
No, it was sort of neutral.
Naive,
it was sort of neutral, but then it was like she's like coming of age and things that were already brewing. It was like confirmed for her
that this even takes place in her own family,
right?
So she had an idea how this might play out with other people, but then it also happens in your own house, and so you feel like you can't even trust your own people, sort of a thing.
Right.
Did she do anything about it? Did she tell the mother?
No.
Or did the mother know somehow?
The mother didn't know.
Okay. And do you see any siblings in her family, any friends or any allies in her own life that she could talk to?
No.
So she wasn't close to her parents or her mother?
No. She feels very alone. There's like closeness to the parents, but she feels other than them. You know, she feels that her father is this like pig and that her mother's kind of naive, and she just feels very isolated.
Let's fast forward a little bit. So from what you're saying, she doesn't have her own family. She doesn't have a husband or partner.
No.
Can we maybe connect to other scenes in her life if possible? If there's any more information we can learn from her, did she resolve this anger at the end of her life, or there are any other events that took place? Let's see if we can connect to at least one event. Allow yourself to feel, but also observe and know you're safe, and just tell me what you are experiencing.
So she's a lesbian, and and she feels like very isolated because of that. And she had a romance in college, and they thought they were going to run away together to Europe. And both from these wealthy families. The other girl's family found out and took their daughter away and like notified her family, and so her parents stopped speaking to her. This is why she moved to this like small farming town to just be alone.
Okay.
And this is what it was. It was like the townspeople could tell that she was gay, and there was some sort of like corrective rape. Some man was trying to like get her to like men or whatever.
Okay, so they're trying to fix her.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. So not only she felt betrayed by her parents, but also, you know, she couldn't have the love experience she wanted, and then she ended up feeling even more isolated in this small town. Okay. So as you look at her life, did she die alone? Did she die in that sort of a state of never fulfilling her life's desires? Or was there any comfort towards the end of her life? Any sort of peace? Or, you know, her work she was very proud of it. Did this give her?
There's like a deep, she feels rewarded by this work that she's done teaching children, and would often receive letters from them, their admiration and respect as they moved on in their lives. And that gives her some sort of fulfillment, but there, in terms of like family relationships, doesn't seem like it.
So she could never express herself romantically or
right,
sexually, right?
Right.
Okay, let's watch her last breath. Let's fast forward to the last day of her life and connect with her. She's dying. Tell me if she's dying alone, or maybe there are some people around. What is her last day of life? What does it look like?
Yeah, I don't know who they are, but there's people. It's like community of some sort. It feels familial.
Okay. Did she die of old age? Maybe some of her students came as well. Who knows? When you connect with her, when she's leaving this earthly plane, is she ready to go? Yeah. And let's follow her to the spirit realm. Let's cut the cord between the physical body, and let's travel with her to the non-physical aspect, the information aspect. When you connect to that agglomerate of information, her consciousness, what state did she live in? Did she leave the earth? What state did she leave the earth?
She feels peaceful, just like a little bit, I don't know, unfulfilled. Like
unfulfilled.
There's. Okay. She was prohibited from like doing the things she really wanted to do, and like really fully expressing her gifts and her love.
Do you know why she has never tried to connect with another woman later on in life?
Just fear.
Fear.
Yeah. The whole experience in college and how society was, meeting that type of energy. This dream of like running away to Europe was cut off, and she just felt stuck.
It reminds me of a story you told me about your girlfriend that you were supposed to take a trip with to Europe as well, right?
Yeah.
So when you think of her, this woman and in your life, we want to make sure that we don't carry this energy over any longer, right? In this life.
Yeah.
So I would like for you to connect to this woman that was supposed to travel with you to Europe. And let's bring her energetically. And let's see where you two are still connected. If there are any cords, if there's any resentment or any anger within you in relation to that story. But you surely carry the energy of this woman, the teacher, within you, right? That anger, that unfulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to make sure we satisfy that energy so it no longer stays within you. So let's connect to your oversoul, her oversoul, and find out where there was an agreement made between you and her, the aspect of the whole that is you and her, so that you become the conduit of that anger, of that unfulfilled passion.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find that timeline so we can resolve this today.
I mean, yeah, I just feel a ton of like threads and cords.
Okay, very good. Let's make sure we pull all of those, cut them, or whatever way you feel like it's best. You need to do it because this is your decision, that you're ready to close that timeline. And you can also talk to that anger and just ask this woman, her aspect that was a teacher, that was a lesbian, never able to have a relationship on her own. What does she need? She already can see you suffering. She can see that you're not living better life just because this anger is present within you. It's not helping. So I want her to really feel that whatever she's doing is actually creating more harm than solution, than good. Send her that message and ask her to change her intentions.
Okay.
And tell me if she's ready to release you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she is expressing that she was not trying to meddle. She just wants to live through someone who's in the future, and that she feels is free to like express things that she couldn't express. But for some reason the same patterns are like repeating. Like, I don't feel safe to be with women romantically, and like I feel angry about the rich and angry about men and angry about gender inequality, and
so she's projecting her
somehow it's still feeding, like these things are still being fed, but she wasn't trying to make me suffer. Like, she feels badly that that's what's happening.
Exactly. So now that we have that clarity that what she's doing is not helping you have a fulfilled life and open up to, using your own free will, because it's almost like a possession. You're not able to execute your own free will as a result of that. I would like for you to see the energies separate, your energy completely separating from her and closing any timeline that connects you or any type of contract. Give her that contract back, or allow her to just on her own deal with that aspect of her experience without involving other people. Has this happened?
Yeah, there's like all these like shooting pains going through me. I think it's like releasing.
Very good. Very good. Let it all pull out, be pulled. This is not you. It doesn't belong to you. Enough of this pain. Enough of this manipulation. I would like to also see if there's something we can do for this woman, for her aspect. Even I can offer my energy here doing all this empowering work for women, and not from the place of anger, but from the place of knowing that I am equal to God, I am equal to Source, and I can create based of that knowledge, and that doesn't need any approval of man, or it's independent of action of any other person, right? So let's see if maybe we can offer that perspective to her. So she chooses another incarnation for herself to try to create different trajectory of her life next time.
Well, okay.
And I want you to really, Molly, open up and make sure that this layer is completely gone. Okay, we're not going anywhere until this is clear.
Yeah, so you said to like remove the contracts and to separate from her, and I saw her separating off from me as like this like egg, this like white orb, and actually this contract like lifted up and like stuck to the egg, and like now my sacrum is like going crazy.
Vibrating. Okay.
And you were talking about whatever she needs and wants. It's like I can't even focus on that now because there's like things happening in my body that are
very good.
Yeah.
Let's focus on you. So she obviously has her own choices, right, to make. That's for her to decide. But for you, you're deciding that this is no longer going to be blueprint for your experience. Okay. So let's connect to your sacrum, because this is your power center. So now that it is vibrating, let's make sure that we actually harmonize it with other aspects that need to feel empowered. Your emotions, right? Your ability to connect to your gifts and speak your truth and make your own decisions without all this biased experience from this woman. Okay, so I want you to connect, ask your higher self to show you, to be shown your purest aspect of creation, and let that light to help you align energetically all your chakras. And this can go far beyond your physical body, inward, outward, into many dimensions, so that you're shown the aspects of you that are creating, that are not bound by any limitations. And I want you to identify with it. This is not just an experience you're having because you're laying here and you're able to deeply feel something different. But I want this to become a norm for Molly. She's ready for that to be her way of living, her way of being, her way of seeing herself. And if there's any suggestions from the higher self, how we can help Molly embody this energy. She's already doing meditation, she's working on herself. Are you able to create new grid? I want you to create new grid for which you will be traveling, your consciousness will be streamlined without interruptions. So let's create a structure so you don't escape back to the old way. You don't jump back to the old box. Remember Bashar talking about these two boxes, and one can look very similar to the other, but the vibration is different, and we don't go back to the old box.
Yeah.
Make sure you seal the grid in whatever way works for you. So you no longer accept contracts from souls that feel deprived of love, that feel, it seems like there's this pattern that, okay, this person is suffering and I'm a fighter, I'm going to take over that fire and I'm going to burn more cities. Enough of this energy. I feel like, this is really old paradigm, old way of revolutions. So I want Molly to completely drop that identity, if I may suggest strongly.
It's just in there so deep. It's like painful to let go of it.
Let go of it. Let go of it completely. Allow yourself to be empty, a newborn baby. No imprints. Plain canvas, and allow yourself to be reborn. It's a time to be reborn.
Okay.
Allow that light to just clean everything, clear everything. And let this rewire your neurological net, the way your synapses connect, the way you comprehend information, process it, the way you learn, the way you create. We don't need to suffer. Suffering is something we are conditioned to believe it's somehow noble. And it has a purpose as information, but when it's nobilized, when it's somehow lifted to a thing unto itself that gives validation to a person, it's absolutely twisted energy.
It's like my body feels really good. There's like heat going through it. It feels like rewiring, but there's still like my head and sinuses. Like
we'll work on it. Let everything happen in the body, okay? Obviously, the mind is the hardest part.
Yeah.
We know how that goes. It's a very old way of living. So let's connect to that. Let's connect to the mind. Let's see where in the mind there is that stubbornness, that attachment. Let's connect to where it comes from. What is the message there? What is the information? We can find a solution for this. Let's find out first the information. What's going on through the mind right now? Talk to me.
I don't know. In terms of thoughts, it's like...
Is there fogginess? How would you describe this?
It just feels like so tight, and like I can feel actually my like cranial wave like restricted. I can feel like the dura just like clinging, like it just, everything feels like it's like just, there's like all this like suction, and just it needs to be depressurized.
Okay, how about we connect to the heart center? I want Molly to receive love, unconditional love, into her heart, into her solar plexus. And I want you to feel really full of that love, bathing in that love. Okay, like when you're first born and there is this connection to the mother, this absolute unconditional trust. And that child never really questions the love, right? Is present, fully present. Allow this love to gently travel up to those pressurized points in the mind and create a little bit of like decompression chamber, however you want to visualize it. Let the love flow in. Non-conditional allowance, meaning that we're allowing ourselves to be where we choose to be at this moment. And first of all, I don't believe in it anymore. So knowing that you created that chamber that creates all this pressure, you know you have the key to open it up, right? And depressurize it. Figure out what it is that you need to do in order to get to that opening. Maybe there is lack of belief that you can create in the way that comes from love and be powerful and be seen and be intelligent. But you have plenty of examples of women in your life that is true. I need you to reclaim everything back. Just like magnetic field, you know, you open your heart, make your heart wide open. And just as a magnet, when we create magnetic field that's very strong, it's vibrating very, very high, just by its nature, it will attract what belongs to that field. So let's activate all your chakras, visualize yourself like this machine. So your spine is like an axis and each chakra is vibrating, stuck on top of each other, not flat, but there's a space in between. And they're vibrating and they're moving around the axis of your spine. And it's like a machine. So notice where there is a piece missing, you said, in your third eye, in your brain, in your mind. So let's start from the feet and let's activate and let's create a movement, a motion. And then for each chakra, base and sacrum and so on, turn yourself into this high vibrating machine, not physical. This is simply coming back to your intelligence that is not in the mind, but is in the mechanism of consciousness.
I'm just like preoccupied, like I'm thinking about that woman.
Don't concentrate on the thoughts. You need to concentrate on the energy field and activate and let the chakras spin. Remember, at the beginning we made an agreement. We're not going to be thinking. This is not the part that we're doing right now. We're not thinking. We're doing something else. We're creating new blueprint for your reality. Thinking is subsequential to that. It does not come first.
Okay.
So if you want to function in your reality, you need to sort of like see yourself breaking apart these pieces of Lego and recreating them in a way that are more aligned. Align them along your spine, align them beautifully so that the energy is streaming. Your consciousness can streamline through those conduits.
Again, it's like the body feels really good and even like the crown of the head, but it's like my jaw, my third eye, my sinuses, there's still so much pressure.
Dive into it for a moment. So we're not thinking about that woman. We want to connect to the energy. Dive into it. Maybe there is another lifetime that we can connect to that will have information about that pressure. So let's use this information to learn more about the background. if there is a reaction, if there is a sensation, it means there is some sort of experience, and this experience can be revealed. It's information.
I'm really just like seeing myself as all these like animals.
Mm-hmm.
There's no story.
Okay.
It's just like it's like a dinosaur and like a rat and a dog and like just like ferocious and like all this like, you know, survival mechanism stuff of like eating other animals and
Mm-hmm. So there is that energy of like, I need to kill in order to evolve, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking earlier. Like there is part of you that is very much connected to the reptilian mind. Let's connect to that energy. Let's go beyond the physical and see if we can connect to the reptilian mind consciousness and the manipulation of human DNA and the hybridization. And let's see if there's part in the back of your brain that has that sort of genome. So look into your genome, travel into your, genetic makeup. And you're already doing that. You went back in time into the animal kingdom. Let's see if we can go even further back.
Okay. So there's like this, I had this relationship with former teacher who I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had dreams about us and visions about us as Anunnaki life forms who were creating like human infrastructure, society, but this becoming some sort of battle between us and getting very disenchanted with the agenda. And I'm becoming aware now of some contract I made to dive into the reality of the beings that we victimized so that I could, I don't know, it's like a form of self-punishment and also a way to help.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm having some sort of internal conflict about, can you help them if you're among them, or do you need to step out of that reality? And it's like,
so part of the Anunnaki consciousness lives within you, but you are in a human form so that you can experience what it means to be in that limited form that you have created yourself. Correct. Okay. So obviously, so this is a contract that, let's see if this can be overridden by another force. And let's go above that contract. Let's go into a different layer, like a higher dimension. And let's see if there is a way that we can change that contract and help you positively resolve. So from what I am understanding, you already have been suffering for quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you haven't realized what it means to live a limited human life.
Okay.
So I would like to then connect to the empowered aspect of you that comes from Anunnaki, right? And obviously they don't have compassion. They don't have certain emotional traits that we do.
Correct.
Maybe Anunnaki would like to step forward, and if there is information that you would like to share, if this contract can be resolved in any way, so that Molly can be free of suffering.
So this was a contract formed to be able to relate to humans, to collect information. Molly needs to embody compassion, embody love. This is the way in which humans energetically connect to one another, learn lessons from one another. Molly wanted to be part of this blueprint to help information collection and to appease what she felt were sins that had been done by Anunnaki in terms of creating human civilization, infrastructure, population.
like the human slaves, right? That we observe.
Correct.
Okay. So has the purpose of this contract been served? Is there anything else that she can learn from this, or can we somehow create an attachment, addendum to this contract?
Molly in human form feels fear about releasing this contract and relinquishing values of compassion, love, etc.
So can the oversoul step in, and can the source energy step in and offer compassion and offer its love as a force, as a field that can help release this contract?
Yes, there's only fear on Molly's behalf about no longer relating to these virtues in human way because of connections to family, other humans, etc. Molly fears isolation if the source of love is not human and is universal oversoul love.
So she fears that love that comes from non-physical aspect of creation.
She fears disconnection by relinquishing human qualities, disconnection from other humans.
So what is the best solution in this moment for Molly?
Have no fear.
Can the source energy step in and continue clearing the fear, continue showing through her dreams, for synchronicities, for connections, that there is a trust that can be built within herself and shared?
Yes.
Okay. So I would like that.
It is important for Molly to realize that humans will not know the difference between human love and universal love. If she expresses this love, this universal love to humans, they will feel it as human love.
Very good. So love is love. It doesn't have to be expressed in conjunction to some sort of other agenda or circumstance.
Correct.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so we'll finish this session concluding that the next step for Molly is to start exercising, expressing love that comes from her connection to the source and being equal to source.